fans of high quality entertainment, happy Thanksgiving to all my Canadian friends. And today I'm going to be ranking 10 albums that when I first heard them, or the first few times I played them, I just could not get into them. And it's not that I disliked them, but I wanted to love them, but I only maybe liked them, or sort of liked them. And there's more than 10, of course, but these were the 10 that, I went through my whole CD collection, and these are the 10 that I chose. And some I've talked about before, and I think there's some that I've never really, talked about before, about being underrated for me. And some are recent that I've changed my mind about, and some I've been a fan of now for a few years. So the most recent is by this guy. And I just got another one of these books, Every Album, Every Song. This one is on Captain Beefheart, which is excellent. Highly recommended if you are a Captain Beefheart fan. So yeah, there's still some Captain Beefheart albums that I'm still not totally into. But this one, the last time I listened to it, it's finally starting to hit me that, yeah, this is really good. It is the Mere Man Sessions. But it's number 10 because I'm still, getting used to it, and I will definitely be playing this more and more because I really enjoyed the last time I listened to it. There's the Captain. Number 9. And I've talked about Grand Funk Railroad's Survival album a few times, that when it came out I was kind of disappointed in it. And then, over the years, listening to it with fresh ears, it's my favorite Grand Funk album now. And I'll say the same for Shining On. I love a lot more than I did when it came out. And even Phoenix, which was probably, when it came out in 1972, I was really disappointed in it. But once again, with fresh ears, the last couple of years, I think it's it's not one of their best albums, but I really do enjoy listening to it now. Number 9. Number 8, the Rolling Stones. There's a few albums. One of them was Goat's Head Soup, which I love a lot more than I did in the past. And in the last year or so, I've become a big fan of this very underrated Rolling Stones album. It is Emotional Rescue. It's a great album. Is it as good as Sticky Fingers? No. But it's still a great Rolling Stones album. So I really do enjoy it. Number 7 is Glenn Kellaway from the Basements, one of his favorite bands. And this album, when it came out, once again, it was a follow-up to their debut, which I absolutely loved. And I was so disappointed. I think I only listened to it maybe twice. And I don't think even if I had played it more, I would have liked it back then. But you mature during the years. And I would say in the last 10 years or so, I became a big fan of, this is a 2-disc, so I'm trying to get I don't know if it has the album cover here. I guess not. But it's Klaatu and their second album, Hope, which I think I actually like more than 3:47 Eastern Standard Time, but I love both of them. And I did recently pick up the next two, which are okay, I guess. But I just wanted them in my collection. But they're a bit too poppy for my liking. But I will listen to them more. Number 6. This band, I was only really familiar with 2 of their albums. And then I bought the box set, and one night I listened to their, I think, seven or 8 albums in a row. And they had such a consistency of great albums to me. And I think my favorite now might be Steppenwolf 7. And I just never, I had this before the box set a few years ago, and I never really gave it a chance. And I was an idiot. I can be an idiot. But yeah, I love Steppenwolf, and I love Steppenwolf 7. Great album. Number 6, I've talked about before, and so when this came out once again, I wasn't very impressed with it. Neither was my brother, who was a big Black Sabbath fan. And even today, a lot of Black Sabbath fans don't care for this. But then there are some that say it is underrated and it's a great album. And I'm one of those now. The last few years, I've become a huge fan of Never Say Die. And even, Technical Ecstasy is another one that I think is underrated. But this one, I think I liked less than Technical Ecstasy. And so this one has really grown in stature over the years. Especially side 1, which I feel is really, really strong. Never Say Die, Johnny Blade, Junior's Eyes, and A Hard Road, one of my all-time favorite Sabbath songs. Side 2 is a little weaker, a little more experimental, I guess, but still, I really enjoy listening to the whole album now. Number 4, this is the thing too I find is when I get these box sets of a band's whole discography, you end up, of course, listening to the whole discography, hopefully, and sometimes you realize, not all the time either, but sometimes it's like, oh my God, this album is better, way better than I thought it was. And when I was doing the ranking and review for this band a couple of years ago, this was pretty high up in my ranking, I believe. Blue Oyster Cult, Mirrors. When this came out, once again, I was disappointed, and it was like the first song, Dr. Music, I thought, like they were selling out. It's like, oh my God, this is so poppy. But I've changed my mind since then. It's a catchy rockin' song. It's a fun song. And the whole album is great. And I love the story with You're Not the One I Was Looking For, which was written by Albert Bouchard. He was just fooling around in the studio, and he was doing a parody of the Cars, who were just starting to take off at that time. And then their producer heard it, and he loved it, and he wanted it on the album, and Albert was going, no, it's just, I'm just doing a parody of the Cars. But it didn't, and I love the song, so I'm glad it's on the album. It's almost like a Spinal Tap story. Number 3. Once again, it's from buying the box set, but I also think it was when I had to really listen to all of the albums for, the ranking and review series, and I hope to bring that back. I'm planning to do the Moody Blues at some time and the Clash. But especially doing the ranking and reviewing, I would have to listen to each album at least a couple of times. And that's when I realized that, this is not the bad album that the critics said it was, or that I thought it was. And that's why I never really listened to it back in the day too much. Lou Reed's Sally Can't Dance. I think it's an excellent follow-up to Coney Island Baby. 2 and 1, I'm trying to decide here. Yeah, I think I'll keep it the way it is. So, as some of you know, my most recent box set is The Clash, Sound System, and it is just superb. The CDs sound amazing. I still haven't watched the DVDs yet. And I really love combat rock. Well, I always liked it, but I really love it now. But the one album back in the day, once again, a big disappointment to me. I love their debut, but Give 'Em Enough Rope, produced by the great Sandy Pearlman, the producer for Blue Oyster Cult. When this came out, I did not like it. And I think I loved Safe European Home, English Civil War, and Tommy Gunn. And then the rest of it, I just thought wasn't very good. And then, as I've said before, there's artists that complain about Spotify and they're not getting paid, which I understand. But with Spotify, I go into Spotify and I listened to this, a few months ago for the first time in years, and I loved it. My opinion had changed. And so yeah, I love every studio album by The Clash. Except for Cut the Crap, which even Joe Strummer disowned, and it's not part of the box set. I'm never going to have it in my CD collection. Number 1. This was the album by this band that I had in the early 70s, and I loved the first 2 songs. I loved the first 2 songs, and then the rest of it once again was just kind of mediocre, except for maybe 1 or 2 songs. And then, just in the last 2 or 3 years, I started to listen to it again on Spotify, and I ended up buying their first few albums, and this is my favorite of theirs, the band. And this is the remixed version, but even the unremixed version is awesome. And this is just one of the most underrated albums ever, in my opinion. And I've said before, I wish it would have been cool if that was the album cover. And so that is it. If you like, you can comment on the albums I just showed you, or, I'd be interested to know if there's certain albums that you heard years and years ago and you thought, oh, I don't like that. But then a few years later, you listened to the album again and it was like, I love this album. And I think that's one of the things as you grow older, because I'm going to be 65 next February. As you grow older, you start to reevaluate things you thought you didn't like. So always, always, always give a band or an album, unless you really hate the album or the band. If you hate the album, it's probably still going to hate it. But if you just think it's, no, it's okay, I don't want to hear that anymore, give it another chance. And sometimes you will become a fan of that album. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.